to all of you. Welcome. I'm Bill Thompson. I'm the head of the OECD's Eurasia division, and I'm extremely pleased to be moderating this morning's session, well, the first part of this morning's session. I will be handing over that role a little bit later to Antonio Fenelli, a former OECD colleague, now outside the OECD, but still a very close collaborator and a senior expert on SME policy. And he will be kind of acting as moderator and discussant for the third session. We have a very, very rich program, so I will keep my introductory remarks to the bare minimum. First of all, to thank you all for joining, and to thank in particular the donors who you see all behind me, who have supported this work, the European Union, Poland, and Romania, for their support. And also just to make a few technical observations that follow on from the slides you saw, most important ones. Please keep your microphone off when you're not speaking. Otherwise, we all hear whatever is happening where you are. If you are using interpretation, which is available with the little globe icon button on your Zoom menu, you may want to turn off the original audio to mute it, to hear the language you want. But the main point for us is that if you take the floor during the discussion to make an intervention or a comment or raise a question, please turn interpretation off before you speak. It doesn't always happen, but it frequently happens that we get interference if people are addressing the meeting while they have interpretation switched on. And the last point, I think everybody by now in the pandemic is familiar with raising hands in Zoom. If you want to make a comment or ask a question during the open discussion, you can type it into the chat window, or you can open the participants menu in Zoom and choose the kind of raise hand option that is offered to you there. Alternatively, because it depends on the kind of version of Zoom you're running, it may be in the main Zoom menu under reactions. But one way or another, if you can't find a way, just type your comment in the chat and we'll try and give you the floor. Having said all that, I'd like to pass the floor to my colleague, Daniel Quadbeck, who heads the East Europe and South Caucasus unit in the OECD's Eurasia division.
Thank you, Bill, and good morning, everyone. Very good to see so many of you again. Very warm welcome to this third regional policy webinar on SME digitalization. Many thanks, first of all, to the European Union, to Poland, as well as to Romania for the financial support for this project, which we are implementing under the umbrella of the EU for Business initiative. This cooperation is very much appreciated, in particular because it is not only financial but also substantive, which is really essential for the success of this work. Now, today is the third webinar in our series of events for the Eastern Partner region, and today we want to focus on the question of what SME support agencies can do to foster the digital transformation of enterprises. I'm very excited about this subject, which is a little bit more practical, more operational, and which will allow us to focus a little bit on the question of how to translate policies into action, which is the main focus of our project, and deliver tangible results for the SME community. We've carried out a survey among SME support agencies, for which we will share the findings today, and which we hope will kick off a discussion with practitioners from SME support agencies from across the region to share good practices, to discuss recent initiatives, and hopefully get some new insights into what works and what does not work. I think it's really fantastic that there is already such a excellent network of strong institutions in place across the region, which all have a critical role to play to work with SMEs on a daily basis. And I'm very much looking forward to hear more about the variety of initiatives and programs that you have all in place. I'm very happy also that we have with us today again Chus Lozano, our expert on SME digitalization, with whom we have worked on a blueprint to foster SME digital transformation, which we hope can provide useful guidance going forward on how to structure the different kinds of support instruments that can help accompany SMEs in their digitalization efforts. And then finally, we also hear good practice examples from Estonia, from Poland, from Austria, looking at different angles on how to run comprehensive SME digitalization initiatives. So it's a full program. I'm very excited for this opportunity. I want to stress that we want the event to be as interactive as possible. So please feel free to put your questions in the chat as they come to your mind, or to raise your hand in Zoom and to engage with our experts, speakers, and practitioners today. Very much looking forward to the discussion, and thank you all for being with us today.
Thank you very much, Daniel. And now we turn to Hoa Bin Ajimian, Head of Sector for Economic Development at DG NEAR, one of our kind of critical interlocutors in Brussels.
Good morning, Bill. Good morning, Daniel. Good morning, everyone. A great pleasure for me to be here today. Great pleasure to join this first seminar. I think it's quite important. I mean, we all understand that digitalization of SMEs is key in the twin transformation and the shared growth we want to have in our region. And as Daniel was saying, I think it's the name of our program and the name of our partnership with OECD is to translate from policies to action. And the focus today is quite clear: SME agencies. The objective of the EU in the Eastern Partnership are also quite clear: in the next 5 years, supporting 500,000 SMEs, and most of them supporting their digital transformation. So we have to work on policies. There are different actors. I mean, I'm just coming back from a mission in Armenia where I engaged with bank on the access to finance issues, but that's one of the aspects. But SME agency and the potential support they can provide to the SMEs is also critical. So I'm really happy to be here today and see how we can complement and ensure that the ecosystem of support, whether it's from the access to finance, access to knowledge, or policies, will ensure this digital transformation and excellent. And thank you one more time, OECD, to have this time for the third meeting a focus on SME agency that also receive a lot of support, not only for this program, for different programs that EU is having and from the governments. So it's also important when there is a plurality of support to the same bodies, that we ensure that the vision, the strategy is right. And on this theme, who is better placed than OECD to support on the strategies? I mean, we're really happy one more time to partner with you, OECD, with Poland, and to engage and to reaffirm our commitment to an engagement to support SME development and digitalization in the Eastern Partnership. Thanks a lot. Back to you, Ben.
Thank you very much, Bin. And we pass then straight on to Poland to hear from Dariusz Mądzało, Councillor and Head of Economic and Political Affairs in the Permanent Representation of Poland to the OECD. Dariusz, please.
Thank you, Bill. Good morning, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, the cooperation with the Eastern partner countries plays an important role for my country, for Poland. We have supported, we support, and we will continue to support the implementation of the OECD regional program, Eurasia Competitiveness, which covers these countries. The engagement of Poland goes beyond a simply financial contribution. Over the years, we have also shared our know-how and experiences. Therefore, I'm very pleased with the fact that today we have among speakers the Polish expert, a representative of the Polish Agency of Enterprises Development. Director Michał Polański will show how in practice the Polish Promotion Agency supports the process of digital transformation of small and medium-sized enterprises. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a third seminar dedicated to the SMEs digital transformation, this time focusing on SMEs promotion agencies. This aspect is an important element to be taken into consideration when addressing the general question of digital transformation. I'm sure that today's discussion will shed a light on how the OECD and its member states can help the Eastern partner countries to identify and design the role of national promotion agencies. The OECD is the best place where you can and you will find the advice on how to meet the challenges you faced. And it holds true not only in the case of digitalization. The unique nature of the OECD is its multidisciplinarity. Thanks to this feature of the OECD, Poland, since its accession to the organization, which took place exactly 25 years ago, benefited a lot from the OECD works in different fields. We improved our understanding of many issues concerning various aspects of economic life and made our regulatory system more effective and efficient. Thank you.
Thank you, Dariusz, very much. And now we move into our first session, a kind of overview of the SME agency survey at a tour de table of representatives of agencies in the region. First, to present the results of our survey of Eastern Partnership SME agencies, I pass the floor to my colleague Patrick Pruszyński of the OECD's East Europe and South Caucasus team. Patrick, please.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Bill, and good morning, everyone. Let me present a brief overview of SME support agencies in the EaP region. And even though the subtitle of my presentation is Overview of SME Agency Survey Findings, there are many sources of information that I will use to present it and that we in general use in our work. One of them is obviously SME Agency Survey that we circulated earlier this year, but in addition, with each of the agencies, we've been in touch with something that we call the SME digitalisation survey, a series of questions that you help us to answer. And of course, our regular discussions and regular bilateral meetings that we have with all of the agencies in the region. Regardless of the source of information, I would like to say at the beginning, thank you for your support in data collection. I think it's excellent to have such a great partners in the region. EaP countries make significant progress in building SME support ecosystem. In fact, 5 out of 6 countries have established a dedicated SME support agency, and even Belarus have in place a fund for financial support of entrepreneurs, which acts as a SME support institutions. While some of the agencies have been operating for a while, for example, in case of Moldova since 2007, in other countries, for example, Armenia and Ukraine, the recent developments are very promising as both countries have established or revamped existing programs and put in place agencies with the objective to support SME development. In terms of the legal status, agencies mostly in all the countries operate under their ministries of economy, which are also appointing director of the agency and received funding usually from state budget. But it's important to say that, for example, in Moldova, it's direct also support from donors, but also in other countries, there's indirect support through the governments from donors. And I know that the EU is very active there. In terms of functions, there's one interesting point that in some cases, the agencies focus purely on SME development, on SME support, for example, Azerbaijan and Moldova. But in other cases, for example, Armenia and Ukraine, the objective is also investment attraction and export promotion. And for example, in Georgia, all three combined. So Enterprise Georgia really has broad mandate. In terms of number of staff, while Azerbaijan's agency is the largest in terms of total number of staff, I think it's above 170 right now. Moldova is the largest compared to the size of the population. Usually, most of the staff is working on the implementation of the support program, and around half of staff are women. But the important thing is the differences are significant. For example, in Moldova, inclusive ODIM, 63% of employees are women. On the other hand, in Azerbaijan, only 23%. Very positive finding is that most employees or many employees have previous private sector experience in all these agencies, which might help them to maybe tailor the support for SMEs according to their needs. In terms of budget, of course, this is related to the functions of the agencies. As I said, in Georgia, the agency has a quite broad mandate. But all the agencies have received a significant funding, and two important and I would say kind of positive informations are that Since 2018, all budget for all the agents, for all the 4 agencies that we're reporting on this slide increased rapidly. On average 280%. The highest increase was in Azerbaijan, 400%. And one thing that was very positive when we asked agencies, okay, so do you have sufficient funding to support all agencies or all SMEs that require support? All agencies says no, which is, I think, excellent answer, because I think if all the agencies would be happy with funding and happy with the scale of their support, that would indicate some maybe structural problems. So it's very positive. In terms of financial and non-financial support, all agencies that we cover here on the slide offer a combination of financial and non-financial support. In terms of financial support, Enterprise Georgia and ODIM are most active. As you see, the number of SMEs that were supported financially in previous period is pretty significant. But also other agencies in Azerbaijan and also Belarusian funding. Fund for support of entrepreneurs is offering loan guarantees. So all agencies covers also this part of support, but the main focus is mostly on non-financial support. And here we're talking mostly about mentoring and training support for all agencies. And we see that this is the primary focus of all agencies. 3 important points and 3 important observations that we noticed is that all agencies across the region have started to provide most of their services online as the COVID pandemic hit, which is very positive development, and I believe it's something that will stay with the agencies also when the pandemic will go away, hopefully soon. So I think that's one of the positive development. The non-financial support is covering broad range of areas. It often starts from access to finance, to sales, marketing, HR practices, and really all agencies are trying to be quite comprehensive in types of training and mentoring services that they offer. In terms of structure of support, agencies often structure their programs around something that we can call targeted development program, targeting one particular topic. For example, SME greening or SME digitalization, which brings me to my last slide. The agencies often build their support around a given topic, covering financial, non-financial support, and also company diagnostic. In terms of support for SME digitalization, most of the countries did not put in place a dedicated program, except Moldova, which is for last years been implementing a program covering different aspects of SME digitalization support, starting from digital self-assessment, but covering also various aspects of financial and non-financial support, covering mentoring, training, but also grants for companies that plan to digitalize their operations. However, I think it's very important is to say that digitalization is covered by all the agencies to a certain extent within existing programs. For example, if there's a training services providing to help companies to boost their sales, there's always aspect of online sales and of online marketing. So digitalization is present across services provided, but the targeted program is implemented so far only in Moldova. Of course, we recognize that the SME development agencies, as we can call them, are not the only actors in the ecosystem supporting SME development and SME digitalization. In fact, in every single country, there is a number of institutions that are very active in this field. And I would just, for example, mention in Georgia, GITA has a number of programs supporting digitalization. In Azerbaijan, Innovation Agency is playing an important role in all countries. Business incubators or high-tech parks are significant players supporting SME digitalization in non-IT sector. That would be very briefly from my side. Thank you. Bill, over to you.
Thank you, Patrick. We now begin a kind of rapid tour de table. I do ask in the interest of time that all of our agency representatives try and keep their remarks fairly brief. I will be quite strict on this, but nonetheless, we really want to hear from you about your kind of most exciting initiatives or perhaps the key lessons that you've already begun learning. And we start with Ani Handamiryan of Enterprise Armenia.
Good morning, dear colleagues. My name is Ani Khandamidyan. I represent Enterprise Armenia. I'm the coordinator of international cooperation and business internationalization projects. Enterprise Armenia is the investment promotion national organization, which has been established in 2002 by the government decree of the Republic of Armenia. The former name of our organization was SME Development National Center, and it has been enlarged in 2019 and called Enterprise Armenia. This is the brand name, and the foundation name is Fund Investment Support Center. Main activities of Enterprise Armenia are one-stop shop. We carry out our activities by the principle of one window and provide support from A to Z of the investment process. Enterprise Armenia team provides immediate assistance to the problems arising during the investment activities to ensure investor satisfaction. The second activity is the concierging. It means we are informing on investment laws and regulations, business opportunities, investment projects, identifying the potential investment location, advising on land acquisition, co-financing sources, potential resident partner, etc. The next one is the bridging. Within this activity, we're ensuring institutional cooperation with local and international organizations, business support organizations, other stakeholders, financial institutions, etc. The next one is promoting. Promoting Armenia as an attractive destination, investment destination for doing business, as well as attracting foreign direct investment inflows into Armenia and conducting outreach campaigns, roadshows, business missions. The next one is the investor aftercare. Here we are ensuring immediate response to problems for investment retention, as well as ensuring prompt reply in the post-investment stage, satisfying investor needs. And the last activity is the expert promotion. The activities include services to assist Armenian companies seeking to enter new markets or to grow in existing expert markets. I would mention that the supreme governing body of Enterprise Armenia is the Board of Trustees. The head of the board is the Vice Prime Minister, and the members are the Minister of Economy of the Republic of Armenia and the Minister of Territorial Administration and Infrastructure of the Republic of Armenia. I would like to continue my speech on the services and toolkit used by Enterprise Armenia and dedicated for SMEs. Here we are providing 4 types of services. The first one is the consultancy and capacity building. The aim of this support direction is to ensure the availability of the information on business environment, to raise the awareness of SMEs on juridical issues. We have hotline. We're using this line for conducting consultancy to SMEs on laws, changes in laws, taxing, custom law, export import procedure, certification procedure, standardization, licensing, etc. Within this service, we are also organizing different trainings, info days. We're publishing leaflets. It could be electronic one or another. The second service dedicated to SMEs is the access to finance. Here we are providing loan guarantees to startups that are acting outside of Yerevan. Currently, we are implementing the Action 19 of Government of Armenia to address the economic impact of COVID-19. The objective of this action is to promote the beneficiaries that have an aim to establish an enterprise from zero by capacity building and access to finance. The action has the following phases. The first one is organization of trainings for startups. Here we are providing trainings on business management, mainly using providing information on different tools, including German CEFE tool, Japanese tools, etc. For the next step, the startups are providing business models, and the evaluation committee is evaluating the business models based on some definite criteria. And for the last step, we're providing loan guarantees to the successful beneficiaries. The duration of the loan is 60 months. Loan interest for women and men are different. For women, it is 7%, for men is 9%. Maximum amount of loan is 10 million Armenian drams, which is about 18,000 euros. third direction of services to SMEs is business internationalization, where I am engaged personally. We're using mainly Enterprise Armenia, Enterprise Europe network. We're the member of this network since 2008. And starting from 2016, when Armenia joined COSME project, we're the full member of COSME, and we're within the consortium with National Academy of Science. It covers the technological and scientific part, and we're covering the business part. We are implementing a series of international projects, including Erasmus for Young Entrepreneurs, and currently we're implementing the last one, please, the smart farming in Flexi Basin. Only a couple of sentences. This is project financed by European Commission. The main objective of the project is to develop and implement replicable and transformable model to prepare conditions for digital transformation in agriculture and adjacent sectors. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Finished,
sorry,
yeah,
sorry to have to rush you. I just have to, my job is to keep an eye on the clock.
Yeah.
So thank you very much. And we now pass to Georgia, to Avtandil Kasradze of the Georgian Innovation and Technology Agency. Gita.
Hello, everyone. It's my pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me. And I would speak on behalf of my agency. As it was mentioned during the presentation, we are supporting innovation development process here in Georgia. We are also supporting startups who creating the product to support SMEs, not only in Georgia, but in all over the world, because our main target is to support the global scalable, innovative companies. We are doing through different programs. We have a matching grant component together with the World Bank. We have two main granting program, which means up to $30,000 per startups, and we are giving this money 40 startups per year, and we have up to $200,000 per startup, and we are giving it up to 10-12 startups per year. We are doing lots of different skills development programs in order to support IT education in Georgia, in order to create more and more products for Georgian market. This is also, I would like to mention few Georgian startups who create the products specifically for SMEs. One of them is the B2CG, who is creating the extremely unique platform where any businesses, any SMEs can open their online store in 15 minutes with integrated payment system, with integrated development system, inventory management system, and etc. And it's very cheap for them. We are even sometimes subsidizing it through government or through donor organization support programs that we are having in Georgia. We have also one of the top Georgian startups, PAC, who is more like Stripe for former Soviet Union countries. They raised millions of dollars in Silicon Valley and has gone through the Y Combinator Accelerator program. Right now, we are working together with the government in order to somehow create the voucher schemes for the SMEs to digitalize their services. These SMEs, not of course, it's not like not all of them, and maybe few of them are only innovative. It does not matter, because we are saying that it does not matter which industry you are, whether you are doing you are working in aerospace or you have agriculture, tomato farm, you still need IT. So without IT, you cannot develop your business right now. So that's why digitalization is very important. And country of Georgia, in government of Georgia side, we are working also more than digitalization. We are working on digital transformation. That means that not only services will be digitalized, but also our business processes will have a transformation where more and more private sector will be enabled and authorized to be part of this economy, which is actually always was in a monopoly in the government. So we want more and more private sector in everything that even the government is right now working. So this is very shortly because I was told that we have only 4 minutes. So
Thank you. You are comfortably under time. So there'll be more time for discussion. I'm sure there will be questions. Now we pass to Moldova and to Oksana Paladichuk of ODIM, Moldova's SME agency. Oksana, please.
Thank you very much. Dear Excellencies, dear colleagues and participants, yes, my name is Oksana Paladichuk. I'm representing the Organization for SME Sector Development. I'm honored to represent the organization today and to present our support to SMEs, especially in digitalizing the SMEs. Of course, it's a short time to present all of the programs. So ODIM is currently implementing more than 12 national programs and more than 20 projects to support SMEs development in the Republic of Moldova. And this is to providing consultancy, information, training, matchmaking, B2Bs. It's about financing by offering business vouchers, granting, credit guaranteeing, and of course, through the business incubation, 11 business incubators, the multifunctional industrial platforms, which we are creating all over Moldova. So we currently have already 8 multifunctional industrial platforms. And we're still looking to having additional 5 programs by the end of the year, linked to second chance, to supply chain clustering, and other initiatives. If referring to the SMEs digitalization, of course, we first started by digitalizing, and we are in the active process of digitalizing ODIM processes itself. And of course, when we speak about SME support, it's the tool to SMEs digitalization. I will not stop to the details of the instrument because we've presented it within different events within OECD. Still, it has a few main steps for the SMEs. It's the self-assessment, the training and capacity enhancement, the business vouchering to enhance online presence, and granting to enhance the process digitalization of the companies. The lesson learned from this instrument helped us to develop a new national program, a longer program, which is about to be revised and approved by the government. It's the SMEs Digital Transformation Program. It's the improved version of the instrument, let's say, and of course it will have a few main components as well. And as it's more ambitious, it will look more in detail, more in depth to the business model of the companies and to the processes the companies are having. Through this new upcoming program, we are planning to enhance SMEs digitalization skills, improve SMEs online presence and processes, digitalization of production processes, and the use of digital technologies by the companies. Also, bearing in mind the lesson learned and the needs of SMEs as we've applied the self-assessment tool, we've introduced digitalization principles and elements in the so-called traditional programs like Women in Business, Start for Youth, Continuous Training Management, the Program for Growth and Internationalization. Thus, these programs also have the models, dedicated models to digitalization, and also have, to some extent, support to digitalize the processes and use of digital technologies in the requirements they're having. At the same time, it's worth mentioning that we are not a standalone in doing all these processes. So jointly with various national and international stakeholders, we've been working tightly, and a roadmap for digitalizing the economy and to improve the e-commerce was developed, and it established the main road and the main activities. Thus, we are already on the way for this new upcoming digital transformation program. We want to facilitate e-services and e-procedures on opening, managing, and even closing or upgrading the company. Creation of dedicated support fund and mechanism to support digital innovation and digital transformation of the companies, and the development of national platforms. It's e-learning platform, business linkages, supply chain platforms, and also the various guides to support SMEs at different level of their development. It's also a thing I want to mention that although we are working on the new upcoming digital transformation program, within the instrument, we are still having to support some companies. And an important thing, the last but not the least, is that the experience we are sharing between the Eastern Partnership countries and the OECD is helping us to understand, helps us a lot to improve our support and to help the SMEs. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now we turn to Ukraine, to Mr. Andriy Remizov of the Entrepreneurship and Export Promotion Office.
Hello, colleagues. Nice to meet you. So my name is Andriy Remizov. I'm acting director of the State Institution Entrepreneurship and Export Promotion Office. In Ukraine, from 2020, the team of the Ministry of Digital Transformation of Ukraine is implementing a national project for SME development, DA Business. The DA Business project includes an online platform in one-stop shop format, which brings together more than 12 digital services and useful content for entrepreneurs. On this platform, entrepreneurs can get more than 65 free consultations in online and offline format, as well as consultations on digital business transformation. And in addition, they can take free online training programs on key aspects of business digitalization. Also, in Ukraine, within the framework of the DA Business project, 7 support centers for entrepreneurs have already been built in Ukrainian regions, where entrepreneurs can take specialized courses in digital marketing, implementation of innovations, and enterprise management system, and other topics in the digital transformation sphere. So together with the Ministry of Digital Transformation, we plan to present new digital services in November. It will be online marketplace of financial programs for entrepreneurs, interactive dashboards with analytics about the state of Ukrainian businesses in real time on the basis of open data, a platform for attracting impact investment, and more than 5 new digital services on the national level. In addition, the office has created a single export web portal, export.gov.ua, which in digital format provides entrepreneurs with access to export analytics, consulting, trainings, and catalog of exporters and importers. We will continue to create digital services and programs in 2020, 2021 in Ukraine, and so we will be very glad to cooperate with foreign partners and other SME and export development agencies. So thank you, colleagues.
Thank you very much for that. And now we turn to the Small Business Development Agency of Azerbaijan and its chief, Elmar Isayev.
Thank you very much. My name is Elmar Isayev. I'm head of the Secretariat of the SME Development Agency of the Republic of Azerbaijan. Dear panel members, dear participants, first of all, I would like to thank the OECD for the organization of this important event. We are pleased to be part of a regional initiative aimed at fostering transformation of SMEs. Today's event is a good opportunity for us to exchange ideas about initiatives undertaken or planned in our respective countries to further improve and strengthen our digital agenda. Since the establishment in 2017 and operation of 2018, the Small and Medium Business Development Agency of Azerbaijan has defined following main strategic pillars: improve access to finance, markets, and knowledge of SMEs, as well as ensuring enabling business environment. Considering the new post-COVID realities, SME digitalization became a cross-cutting development agenda. Our efforts in relation to SME digitalization are mainly reflected through our support programs, as well as knowledge and infrastructure platforms. We have already introduced various government support mechanisms to promote innovation and digitalization. These include our grant program for internal market studies, research and development projects, as well as tax incentives through startup certificates. There are also different thematic industrial technological parts, including high technologies that support and promote development of digital economy, while offering privileges to their residents and serving as a plug-and-play place. We have also introduced new SME development centers to improve access of SMEs to knowledge, skills, and innovation. There are currently about 20 such centers in different regions of the countries. The centers provide business consultancies and trainings to SMEs, including on innovative businesses, while serving as an incubator facility. We have recently launched an e-learning platform for these services. Through introduction such platforms, our aim is to communicate more effectively with SMEs, improve service quality and coverage. Another, our flagship initiative is Small and Medium Business House. SME houses are one-stop shops offering all B2B services from one location, including some B2B services as well. With new initiative to introduce soon e-SME House platform, they would turn to non-stop shop format, offering the services online and making it more accessible to SMEs. Additionally, in the pipeline, we have a new developed e-commerce portal designed primarily to sell products and services of SMEs. Through this platform, our goal is to support the development of e-commerce, encourage SMEs to take advantage of online sales opportunities, both within the country and to promote sales of their products overseas. Although there have been numerous initiatives on SME digital transformation, we are in the process to set specific national goals. The government of Azerbaijan is working on the development of a new national strategy, and SME digitalization is one of the priorities on the agenda. It is also noteworthy to mention about new technical assistance project, which is underway by OECD within the support of EU on promoting SME digitalization in Azerbaijan. Within this project, is expected by the end of the year to finalize diagnostic review and policy actions to further promote SME digitalization in my country. Our agency is happy to be counterpart on these important initiatives, and using this opportunity, would like to thank both OECD and EU for their support. Due to time constraint, I would like to finish my words here and wish success to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Right on time, in fact. You could not have been more precise. So we now shift into our second session, which will present the recommendations from our draft report and then offer for your feedback and discussion some of these ideas. The recommendations of the draft report on ways to accelerate the digital transformation of SMEs. And to present those, I turn to our expert on SME digitalization, who by now I think is known to many of you, Jesus Lozano.
Thank you very much, colleagues. Please allow me to share the presentation first. Can you please confirm that you see the screen?
Not yet. It looked like you were starting to share screen. We had the little message, but then the slides didn't come up, and now we see you. You might want to try launching again, and
yeah, I'm going to
if
try
not,
again.
perhaps the team can run the slides. But
no, for sure I can do, but always having with these two screenshots. So maybe again, maybe now.
It's coming by the look of it.
It says again.
It says again that you've started screen sharing, but we don't see the slides.
I propose I can share your
Francesco,
slides.
yes, please. I think the team can just...
No, I think it's working now, yes?
Third time's the charm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Bill. Thank you, colleagues, for allowing me to participate in the event. So today, again, maybe we're going to talk about the importance of the SME agencies on supporting the digital transformation, not only the SMEs, but the global industries and the priority industries, and also the importance of understanding how to give the maximum impact on the capacity building programs for supporting the digitalization of the SMEs. I would like to start with this slide. We had previous meetings where I went into the topic very deeply on what is digital transformation of SMEs. And again, I just would like to highlight, as I said before, that usually 70% of the implementation, technology implementation inside the companies, they fail, or it fails because of the lack of understanding on the importance of connect the digital mindset. So understanding the technology with also the technology adoption. Okay, so digital transformation at every level, not only on industry, but also on citizenship, on governments, on public sector, on education and health. Digital transformation is always connecting the digital mentality, so thinking digital, with, of course, the access to the different technologies that we are having right now in this age of emerging technologies. So to understand or to talk about how to understand the digital maturity of an industry, we need to go obviously first of all at the company level, at the SME level, okay? And we have to understand that technology is impacting, is creating or developing competitiveness inside the SMEs, inside an enterprise, in 6 very different areas. Okay, so the first one, also we mentioned before, is the business strategy. So obviously using technology for the decision-making process, for digital cultures, digital education of the employees, for business strategies, so analyzing the competitors or digitalizing the mindset and the strategies. It creates a much more competitive company. We have many cases that we know from Kodak, from Netflix, etc., on how this digitalization of the business strategies were creating a high competitive companies, and we're also, removing large industries, large companies from the market by not adapt this strategy. Also, the customer relationship. This is quite important. So technology is allowing regular businesses and industries to have access to more customers and obviously to more loyalty customers. So technology is used today, and this is very obvious on social media, on digital marketing. Today we know much more than ever our customers, our digital customers, how they are coming to us, how they are getting interest, how they are buying, what are they demanding from us, what they think about us. Obviously the customer experience is also completely different from customers that are coming from the cloud and digital channels. The customer engagement, so now it's much more easy than ever to give promotions, to give offers, and obviously all of those technologies applied to customer relationship generate, as I said before, new customers, and this is coming to obviously more sales. Communications and talent. Also today, we are now, for example, participating in a very good example on how easy it is today to generate talent and to co-work and work with video conference and work from home, without affecting the movement of the company and the growth of the company. So obviously, we can use technology to have a more loyalty team, to develop a much better business environment, to obviously generate talented or digital talent inside the companies, and to enhance the communication internally with touch management systems, or externally by using WhatsApp with our clients, for example. Also, very important is how technology, and here we may say industry, is impacting on the development of the SMEs. We are living, as I said many times, we are living on the industry 4.0. Every time we live a revolution or an industry revolution, that means that technology is giving the companies more capacity to develop more products. Okay, so now in the industry 4.0, we are meeting the new business models. So we are meeting the e-commerce, the marketplaces, the digital marketing. We are meeting how to sell more internationally, how to offer digital service and how to offer online services. Okay, how to offer new value propositions, how to digitalize the catalog of products, how to find new sales channels, you know, and obviously this is impacting on the sales of the company. And continue with this industry 4.0 technology is also allowing the SMEs to manufacture more products. So obviously technology is impacting on the infrastructures. Here we are talking maybe on hardware, on high tech. We are talking on Internet of Things. We are talking on virtual reality, augmented reality. We are talking about 3D printing, high internet access, etc. That is allowing companies to produce more. So obviously more productions mean more sales. And to ending, also very important is the business processes. So obviously technology can totally digitalize the processes, internal processes. So those primary processes, those management processes like financial, like invoicing, like HR, like the global file management. So obviously the optimization of those and digitalization of those processes, or in this case, we say the digitization of the processes, is bringing the companies more efficiency. So to understand how an industry is, or to understand the digital maturity of the industry, the idea or the need is to do diagnosis at all of these different 6 levels and 6 sub-levels. So to understand how every company inside the industry, it is using technology to digitalize all of those processes that we mentioned before. There are many more, obviously, but I have very limited time. Obviously, we cannot go into big details. But how the company is using technology to digitalize all of those processes and the production and the access to the customer and the communications and the business strategy, but also not from the technology side. Or the combination of technologies, also from the digital mentality. So also to do a diagnosis, we have to understand how the different stakeholders that compose an SME, so the management, the employees, the wholesalers, the clients and customers, how all of them are knowledgeable or educated on the using of those technologies. And from that, obviously, we can have the vision on which are the priorities inside an industry and where to develop programs. So develop the programs on manufacturing or develop the programs on product and sales, on customer relationships, where are the biggest gaps and the biggest opportunities. For that, I would like to bring a very short example. I think all of you know me. I'm now living in Armenia, operating in the whole region, traveling now in 2 hours to Georgia. Okay, so for example, I had the opportunity to do this diagnosis only at multi-sectorial level and only from the product and sales. So understanding how Armenian SMEs, we're focused on a small SMEs, so up to 10 employees, were using technology on generating new sales channels and new digital catalog and on engagement with the customers. And we came, for example, with those insights that, for example, 80% of the SMEs in Armenia, of the small enterprise in Armenia, they have corporate website, but only 35% of them, they have the tools, the digital tools to make sales. So for example, e-commerce is or join it to marketplaces. 9% of the Armenian small and medium enterprises, only 9%, they invest on marketing, because marketing is not only for free. Obviously, you can do digital marketing by influencers, by virality, by social media marketing, but you have to invest. Obviously, companies, they have to invest on marketing, and only 9% of the SMEs in Armenia, they invest on marketing. But 93% of them, they have presence on the social networks. So they are on Facebook, they are on YouTube, they are on Instagram, even on TikTok. So it says that Armenia understand how important it is to have this customer relationship through the cloud, but they completely not understand how important it is to invest also on getting customers, so on rising interest, from interest to sales. From here, I would like to go into the importance of the role of SME agencies on the industry digitalization. First of all, SME agencies should be the meeting point from all of those stakeholders that are composing the ecosystem that can empower totally the enterprises to totally perform and totally be digitalized. And the first, maybe the most important stakeholder for the digital agency is the public sector. So it is the relationship with the governments. We're hearing now very exciting examples from the 6 countries, and we're hearing how some of them are totally connected to the government. For example, my colleague from Armenia, she was mentioning how the different ministries are taking decisions and participating on the strategy of the SME agency. That's also very important because SME agencies are the ones who are supporting the governments, at least on digital transformation of industries, to establish their priorities, their strategies, and of course their policies. Just because they have the information, they know in the field what is needed. Okay. Also, international organizations, we heard many times. Well, we are here with the OECD. We heard also from the EU. So there are many international organizations supporting also the SME agencies by giving them expertise, by giving them funding and internal resources for them to develop. And also 8 agencies. I know I have my colleague from GIZ Armenia here. GIZ is also the German 8 agency is also very active on the digitalization of SMEs in Armenia. So those are the ones who can help digital agencies to be on time and to develop long-term strategies on digitalizing the industries. But on the other side, we have those players and stakeholders that are offering enterprises the digital mindset. So mainly there are 2, those technology educators. So for example, tech suppliers, the R&D centers, universities, those that are offering the SMEs the possibility to hire, for example, to hire a talent with expertise on different digital tools, okay, or to educate internally, the necessary employees or clients to use the technologies that they want to implement. Okay. Also, digital agents are very important. Digital agents, we call them, to those that are supporting SMEs to establish their strategies. So, for example, consultants, for example, cooperatives or business associations, that are also working and helping the different industry managers to understand what to do, and obviously raising awareness and implementing strategies. And on the other side, okay, now, so on the other side, also those players that are offering technology adoption to the SMEs. For example, obviously the private sector, we had talked a lot and we had different success cases from the European countries, and most of them were bringing to the table how important it is to connect the national ICT sector with the different industries, and how important it is to have a very powerful ICT sector, not only at the entrepreneurial level, so for example, startups, but also at the technology level, for example, outsourcing companies, and how important it is for the digital agencies or the SME agencies to connect those tech companies or startups with the needs of the different industries, and be the first ones to offer the access to technologies. And obviously also SMEs, they need to have access to capital, in order to implement not only the technologies, but also the education. So here the different IFIs that are quite active on our region, or even private investors, or even banks, are acting very actively, in our region on offering different financial instruments to meet education and technology adoption. And how SME agencies are coordinating all of this ecosystem. Well, first of all, SME agencies has to be the ones who totally understand which are the needs and which are the priorities and the strengths and the gaps on the different in the different industrial sectors. So for example, what are the needs on the agriculture, on the health sector, or on the tourism and hospitality sector? And from those needs, SME agencies are responsible to create the capacity building programs. And every capacity building program, and this is really, I would like to highlight, and I will have a very clear example, for example, on e-commerce in my last slide, but those capacity building programs has to be, okay, sectorial focus or multi-sectorial focus on multi-impacting area, as we saw before, or a specific impacting area, but always considering that digital mindset and technology adoption should be together. So in everything that we offer on capacity building to the SMEs should be together, offering them digital mindset and technology adoption. And for that, in every capacity building program, those 4 action lines should be contemplated. I will talk now about them. So first of all, very important, in every, let's say again, capacity building program, we need to consider the awareness raising. So we need to offer activities on raising awareness on the benefits of the technology we want to implement. Also on talent generation. So we need to make sure that we offer enterprises access to talent that are going to support them on this journey. Also technology education. So we have to make sure that we have the internal education to totally implement and understand the use of the technology. And of course, and finally, the technology implementation. So obviously have the capacity to implement this technology, and of course to make this technology to be operative on time inside the company. I'm sorry because I'm running, but I would like to stop here before going to implementation and giving some first steps. I would like to stop here because maybe we have some questions from the audience on the importance or on the responsibility of the SME agencies.
Thank you, Chus. Yes, I think we can afford to pause for a few minutes if colleagues want to catch their breath and perhaps raise a question about what's already been said before Chus carries on with the rest of his presentation. I'm watching. I see Elmar Isaev, please.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Lazona, for your interesting presentation. Of course, the issues raised here are very important. We all know that the main challenges for the digitalization of SMEs are also lack of awareness, lack of skills, also affordability of the these technologies. I would like to know what strategies should the government pursue in order to make these digital tools affordable for SMEs. It should be also fiscal privileges maybe, or some other dedicated finance instruments. And in general, how do you see views in this area? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Elmar, for your question. Very important question. I agree. Well, according to my experience in the region, I totally connected with most of you, and also my experience on the European countries, so knowing how the different SME agencies are establishing those digital one-stop shop, digital agencies inside the SME agency. I think that the answer is maybe very easy to understand. So for me, the role of the government or how the government is supporting those SME agencies is totally to make sure that the SME agency will have the enough resources and funds and promotions to implement, let's say, to implement the programs by offering SMEs, those resources that they need. So as I said, awareness, access to talent, consultants, specialists, access to education, and access to obviously capital and technology. I see many cases in the region where obviously we or most of our programs, they totally focused on one of those action lines. Okay, so most of them is focused on education. So there are many programs from many of you offering education, so trainings and webinars and workshops, on how to use the technology. But I agree with you, to have the biggest impact, all of those 4 action lines must be totally accessible for the SMEs. So obviously, if we offer education, but we don't offer SMEs access to capital or access to technology, so even giving them licenses, then those SMEs doesn't have the effort to implement those technologies. But even if we offer them education and technology, but we don't offer them access to a specialist, so to talent, to helping them to implement the technology and to helping them also to run the technology. So for example, if we talk about e-commerce, companies, they need to have access to digital marketing specialists and consultants, to prepare their program for 1 year or 2 years, and to prepare also their budget and understand fully how to take advantage of the using of e-commerce. Okay, We had a very exciting, I hope you were participating, event a few months ago, I guess it was in July, where different European SME agencies were totally talking about their activities on supporting the digitalization of the different SMEs outside of the ICT sector. And all of them, they were having that in common. All of them, they were raising awareness. All of them, they were giving SMEs access to specialists and consultants to implement their strategies, their digital transformation strategies. All of them were educating also, so giving pills and education online and offline on the use of specific technologies, because every, let's say, capacity building program is based on specific technologies, you know, and all of them, they were giving access to capital. Some of them, I remember the one from Germany, they were close to €1 billion, euros on the last 5 years on giving IT sectors, but also different industrial sectors to have access to technology, to have access to those funding, and they were from grants to equity. So my recommendation for the governments is we have to ensure that our agencies that are going to implement digital transformation strategies for industries, they have capacity, they have the full capacity to implementing access to awareness, talent, education, and capital. If we miss one of those, let's say, if we miss one of those actions, then obviously good things will happen. Because I was listening the other day, for example, ODIM, and they're doing great, so impact will be there. But let's say we will not have, or the SMEs will not have the full impact to meet these final benefits, depending on the technology, but to meet this final objective to be more competitive. I'm sorry, maybe I extended so much on the answer.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm looking quickly to see if there are others who want to raise immediate questions. Otherwise, perhaps there being none, you carry on, and we'll have a little bit more time for questions at the end of your the second half of your presentation anyways. So
okay,
there will
perfect.
be an opportunity. Thank you.
Perfect, thank you. So coming back from the question to Elmar, for example, where to start? I mean, where the government should have to start? Not to start, because obviously we started, and I agree that we have, as Patrick was showing us in the beginning, there are many agencies, SME agencies and innovation agencies acting on different programs of digitalizing SMEs and industries. But where to continue? And many of you were talking about this. First of all, obviously, what the government has to understand and quickly to start is identifying the owners, who are the players. I'm having also many conversations. I have one colleague, Haik Margarian, here from the National Center, and I'm having many conversations with the different governments, tomorrow with the Georgian government, on the importance of not giving full responsibility on one SME agency, because obviously it is impossible to have full capacity to totally impact in every level and sub-level and in every kind of technologies. So it is very important to understand and to map who are the owners. Obviously, also, once we know the owners, the very first step that many of you already developed is to have this digital one-stop shop. So to offer the SMEs for any kind of industry access to the information on what is happening in the region on digital transformation, to give them the trending technologies, to understand the benefits of the different technologies, to offer them those online webinars, online short pieces of trainings on the importance of implementing technologies, and also to be this single point of contact from the whole community that I mentioned it before. Okay, so who are the digital talents in our country, in our nation? Who are those educational centers that can help also my employees to understand or to educate on technologies? Who are the international organizations or the public sector programs that I can benefit? Okay, I can apply and benefit. Who are also the different investors and banks acting, and giving access to capital? And of course, mapping who are the technology companies and the tech startups that even not national but also international, okay, that I can use in my company. So we need also this digital shop as a map. So mapping all of those stakeholders where any SME can to start contacting. Then once we have this diagnosis, this digital one-stop shop, then we have to follow the 4 action plans or the 4 action lines. So obviously, the first step is to do diagnosis. We need to understand, as we did, for example, I mentioned before in Armenia that I was talking about the digital cells, but there were many strengths, for example, in Armenia, that we can also boost. But we need to understand at the sectorial level how the different the industries and priority industries or main industries are mature or digital mature. Where are the lags and where are the strengths? Because maybe, for example, the agro sector, they don't need to have an e-commerce, but they really need to have access to industry 4.0. So they really need to have access to artificial lighting or to irrigation, smart irrigation or smart cropping technologies, or even the cloud. So AI technologies apply. So we need to understand if the different gaps on the industries are on the product or on the customer relationship or on the strategy, etc. And from those understanding, also SME agencies, they have to develop those digitalization roadmaps. Okay, so understanding which are the priority actions and programs to implement, and which are, as I said before, the needed resources. So the resources needed, not only on funds, this is the most important, accessing to capital, but also on expertise, talent, and education. Okay, once we have the diagnosis and we develop those different programs, also very important is the generate self-assessment into the SMEs. Okay, it is very complicated to go one by one every enterprise and do analysis and studies for them and prepare for them strategies. So a very powerful tool that we have many success cases, including in the region. Okay, some of you have very good success cases. For example, ODIM is using this kind of self-assessment tool for SMEs, okay, where SMEs can go totally online, can answer those, let's say, diagnosis questions, and from that they can understand. So the enterprise itself, they can understand where they are and what to do, which technologies are the most beneficial, what should be the impacting areas, what should be the benefits, and how the benefits will quantify, the impacting on the company, and of course where to start. So what is needed and where to start, also connected with the previous matter that we were mentioning before. Also very important is to generate talent, and this is quite important because I really feel that in our region, maybe with the exemption with Ukraine, but in our region in general, there is a gap on talented consultants or business associations that can offer SMEs understanding and development of the digital strategy, the digital strategy for digital transformation strategy for themselves. So obviously we need also, SME agencies needs to start programs by creating this capacity. So by generating those digital agents. Okay, we are now, for example, here, we are now working on developing a very specific training for consultants to become digital agents, and consultants from the 6 countries will be participating on the coming months. Also make sure that we also prepare specialists, tech specialists to the region. If we want to implement, for example, smart irrigation systems or this is very trending topic, for example, in Ukraine, talking about green technologies and circular economy. Okay, we need experts then. We need a specialist that will help manufacturing industries to implement circular economy technologies, so green technologies to apply to this circular economy. So we need also to create this capacity. Okay. Also, finally, very important is to develop this tech education and technology implementation by offering financial support for digitalization. So offering finance, so develop different financing programs to obviously support this SME, this journey on, first of all, implement the technologies, but also educate the internal stakeholders and team on the use of those technologies and having those digital strategy and skills. And something also very important for connected with the first point, very important for the SME agencies is also to develop the ecosystem. So it's also to make sure that at the national level, we connect, we have those players, so we have those international organizations and government be very active and giving priorities and setting up programs on digitalizing the industries, to have all of those digital agents and educators in the field, so working on technologies. I was mentioning R&D, we mentioned R&D here. So obviously to make sure that the educational sector is developing R&D that is needed on the national industries, or for example, connecting with the private sector companies, like for example, startups and ICT sector, to totally connecting them with the needs of the different industries. And I would like to finish very quickly giving a very easy example on one specific activity. Most of our programs that I realized we have in the region are based on implementing e-commerces inside the small and medium enterprises. So obviously, as you may see, if the program is implementing e-commerces, it should be connected with the previous steps. So obviously, in our digital one-stop shop, we have to provide SMEs access to information about the benefits of an e-commerce. So by webinars, by giving success cases, and also we have to provide in our map, in our ecosystem map or stakeholders map, who are the ones who can assist the SMEs on implementing the e-commerce. That e-commerce are totally connected also with digital marketing. So who are the specialists? Who are the tech companies? Who are the implementers? Which are the national startups that also can offer access to different tools, e-commerce tools? Which are the marketplaces, international and national marketplaces where startups with the enterprises they can join? Of course, if we talk about diagnosis, it is necessary, for example, do this multi-sectorial diagnosis on the needs of digital cells. This is the one that we were performing, for example, here in Armenia. It was totally focused on understanding the needs of digital cells. And obviously, from the insights we mentioned before, I mentioned it before, we could understand how important was to implement those e-commerces and marketplaces to the Armenian SMEs. Okay, obviously, again, we need, of course, to adapt those digital assessment tool on digital sales and digital marketing. So the startup, the SMEs, they can obviously apply to this self-diagnosis and understand where they are and what they need to have to start this journey on going on digital sales and digital customers. Also, we need to develop digital skills and capacity building. For example, in the whole region right now, digital experts on digital marketing are quite advanced. We have many experts, even coming from universities and with huge expertise on social media marketing, on social marketing, on neuro marketing, on direct sex marketing, so B2B marketing. We have all of those experts. So that's something very strong on the region that we can offer also. Obviously, we need to connect those specialists to the companies, and we need to provide the companies with not only the mapping, but also with the money to hire those external experts, okay? And ending here, also we have to offer financial support to implement not only e-commerce, but also to implement budget for digital marketing. I said before, okay, something critical is in Armenia, only 9% of the companies that are investing on digital marketing, compared, for example, with the 38% of the small companies in Spain. So we are still very far. What is the reason? The reason is not the lack of expertise from the enterprises, because they are doing online marketing. 90% they have social media presence, or they have websites. The problem is that they don't have financial capacity. So we need to provide with this financial capacity, not only to give them an e-commerce, but also to give them the budget, at least for the first year, to implement activities on digital marketing. Then once they are having new sales, they can reinvest those new sales on getting, let's say, deeper on digital marketing. But as you see, and when we talk about digital sales, when we talk about e-commerce, it's not only offering them some webinars and training on digital e-commerce, it's also offering them money for education, money for implementation, accessing to talent for obviously understand, and accessing to self-diagnosis to develop their own strategies very easily. Okay, I would like to stop here. I open the floor for more questions, and thank you very much for this time.
Thank you very much, Chus. We do have a few minutes before we shift to our next session. And once again, Elmar Isayev is quickest in getting his hand up, so please.
Yeah, it will be very short insight, short questions. Again, Mr. Lozano, thank you very much for interesting presentation and action plan. I just want to know, do you have a practical case where this action plan was implemented in the example of country, in a country? And the main question is, what the main challenges is faced or was faced during the implementation of action plan? That should be lesson learned thinking for other countries to implement in the example.
No, yes, of course. I've been participating in different action plans, mainly for my Spanish government, okay, but also in the region. So mainly in Armenia, because I was active at the Armenian level as an EU expert in 3 years, and now it's a regional level, okay. As I mentioned, for example, I brought the example of Armenia. We did this diagnosis that I will be also very glad to share with all of you. It was under the EBRD, also EU funded. So it was coming from my colleague Bean, who was doing the introduction this morning. And of course, in this diagnosis, we created a parallel action plan with, for example, over 40 different recommendations, but all of them totally focused on those action lines. So awareness, talent, education, and implementation, but very specific 40 recommendations only, and we're talking only on digital sales and digital marketing, so on e-commerce and digital marketing, okay? We didn't have the opportunity to implement this program, okay? There were huge interest, but obviously because it was before the COVID crisis, so obviously these COVID times, let's say, were frozen all of our activities, in this case with the Armenian government. And I may say right now that the Armenian government is very active right now, coming from the Ministry of Economy and High Tech, on implementing this plan. But according with the implementation we did, for example, on the region of Andalusia in Spain, the main challenge obviously was the education. It was the main challenge. I mean, where most of the implementations were failing, it was because not they implemented that technology, but it was implementing this digital mindset on how important it is for your small enterprise to be online, how important it is, you know. And I may say that the success rate, when you are implementing all of those processes inside the company, the success rate of those that they really go into digital sales is over 30–40%, and this is quite high, you know. But in some regions we go to 5 to 10%, because by the end of the day, or they don't want to learn, or they don't understand, or they don't have access to a specialist that can inspire them. Okay, but of course, if the 4 components are meeting, so are together, then the success rate is quite higher. You know, I was also participating in interesting programs for the UN, so UNDP or UNFPA, for example, on establishing e-commerces or marketplaces for rural area entrepreneurs, and some of them are quite successful. For example, in Spain, or even in Moldova, I forgot the name, but again with Moldova, they have a very interesting marketplace for rural areas, female entrepreneurs, that they are doing quite good, you know, on selling online their products. But specifying answering to your question is the mindset. That's because I'm very, very clear on let's go to mindset, you know, because if I don't want to implement, you know, then it's failing. Thank you.
Yeah, choose. I'm cutting in. We need to move on. I see Francesco has his hand up for perhaps one very quick question or remark, but it needs to be brief because we should shift to our next session before we eat up their time.
But if Oksana is still listening and still with us, and also to help answer Elmar's question, Oksana, given that you already work on this pilot for digitalization, I think it would help us if you could share one thing that worked very well and one thing that instead you would do differently if you were to start over. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the question. One of the things we also we changed within the program implementation, and we've tested separate mechanisms, is about the training. So obviously having the self-assessment tool and having trainees separated in groups depending on the level of their knowledge is very important, as well as the timing of the training is also important. An important thing here, as Mr. Lozano mentioned, is of course the training was taught not by usual trainers, but by practitioners in the IT sector, and they were organized jointly with the Tech Wheel Association, with IT Association, so that we assured the quality of the training. On the other hand, what we've changed is in the first instrument, we had business vouchers for marketing, for online presence and so on. And then we had the grant for more comprehensive support for digitalization. And then for the new program, we decided to merge the two support and increase the sum of the grant. So that when requested a grant, because many of the companies applied for voucher and for grant. So to avoid this double application, we have just one bigger grant envisaged, and they just could apply to support needed support only also for marketing, for online presence, and also for digitalizing the processes. So this is the main update of the program. And an important thing here, just because we were speaking about the capacities, when evaluating the application of the SMEs, we also had this combined evaluation committee with participation of experts from the IT associations, giving their feedback on the efficiency of solutions that the companies were asking for. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And at this point, I'm afraid we must shift to our third session on good practice from OECD countries, where we'll be hearing from some OECD peers about what they've done. And for that, I pass over the role of moderator and discussant to Antonio Fanelli. Antonio, it's your show.
Thank you, Bill. In this session, we will have three presentations. We will start with Estonia, that is one of the countries that is most advanced among the OECD countries in the process of digital transformation. We will have a presentation from Kesti Kuntsalu, project manager at the Enterprise Estonia. It will be followed by a presentation from Poland and one presentation from Austria. Kesti, please, you can start with your presentation.
Thank you, Antonio. Hello from my side as well. As already introduced, my name is Kesti Kuntsalu, and I'm Industry Digitalization Project Manager in Enterprise Estonia. So I will share my screen right away. Yeah. So what Estonia do to support SME agencies to digital transformation? In Enterprise Estonia, which is Estonian governmental agency, what supports business model development and innovation acceleration, trade development, raising foreign direct investments, attracting foreign talents, and also developing tourism. We're doing quite a lot, but not only our own. So I'm going to show you a quick overview of what all our public organizations do in Estonia to support SME digital transformations. So here is a big matrix table of several services and grants we offer. And horizontally, the table is divided by the SME digital maturity. We start with beginners, experienced companies, and the experts on digitalization. And vertically, we have divided our services by the form. And we start with sharing opportunities. That's basically all the services what raise of general awareness of SMEs, and also inner awareness in each company and each SMEs inside. And also there's capability services the second column, which is directed to raise digital skills and knowledge inside SMEs. And the third block is all the grants and consultation services for international finances and programs. So with services and grants which are meant to beginners in digital transformation is mainly offered by our county development centers, what are all over the country. There are about 15 these centers, and we are making very good cooperation with them. And also by Enterprise Estonia, we are helping our county centers to raise general awareness of digitalization with radio shows, articles, with several different companies, study cases and success cases. Also, we're making webinars, seminars and conferences with our county centers and also with our local governments. And also our industry alliances and clusters are also making a lot of seminars and webinars and conferences, and we're all trying to support them with our help also in Enterprise Estonia. And to raise capability in SMEs, we are providing them online digitalization maturity assessment tool to give them a first glance of what kind of level are the SMEs in digitalization, and also giving them consulting services to take the first steps. And few of our local governments have made small grants for starting digitalization. These grants are mainly provided by our main cities, and they're from 2,000 euros up to 5,000 euros for the small companies. For experienced companies, SMEs, we provide as an Enterprise Estonia mainly all these services and grants. We're making the annual Industry 4.0 in Practice conference with our partners in public sector, and also we provide technology monitoring, analysis and seminars also to introduce all the technology trends to our SMEs. And also grant for digitalization roadmap. And the digitalization roadmap is a strategical document for the SME for 3 years to point out all the shortcomings in this company's supply chain and all the solutions, hopefully technologically supported solutions that they can implement during the next 3 years in their company. So the service itself is provided by digitalization experts in our market. We only provide the grant for it. So next, in capability block, we provide digitalization masterclass, which is a training program for SMEs to raise their internal skills of digital transformation. The masterclass mainly focuses on process management, how to describe SMEs processes, how to manage them, and also very crucial block in this masterclass is to how to gather data, how to generate high quality data and all this data management. And also the third very important area is in this masterclass is to teach how to make a changes in SMEs, all this change management, which is quite hard thing to do in small companies. Also, we have consulting services for innovative businesses. That means we provide expert consultees for companies who already knew what they should do with their processes, what kind of the technology they need, but they're seeking for a partner who could provide this kind of technology for their company. Also, we are making twice a year industry hackathons where we gather together industry representatives and IT companies, engineer bureaus, also students from universities to hack the problems which industry companies bring to the hackathons to solve. So it's a little bit a networking service also. And we have enterprise development program services. This program is mainly focusing on product development, but if some company who wants to develop the new product, they can also digitalize their processes during this product development project too. And this program just covers all the cost of the services they need in the market to develop this new product or service that they want to do. And financing part is also the enterprise development program grant, which is financial support to develop new product and to produce that new product. But also we are coming out with investment grants for SMEs beginning of next year, which is only focusing by supporting the investments in digitalization, automatization, and robotization of SMEs processes. And for the expert and top performers in digitalization, we provide in Estonia services by our newly opened European Digital Innovation Hub, which is AI and Robotics Estonia. And this mainly provides services, networking, digitalization assessment, consulting, also training services, test before, invest services, and financial consulting services for SMEs who want to implement AI or robotic solutions in their company. And we also in Enterprise Estonia have some programs to raise the capacity of the SMEs, like Work in Estonia, to attract talents in Estonia. And we're from this year, we're not only focusing attracting the IT talent, but also engineers to Estonia. And we also have the grant for recruitment of researchers for SMEs, so they can recruit some scientists they need to implement a new technology or develop new product in SMEs. And also from this year, we have established a cooperation with the European Organization of Nuclear Research, who also provides some services to industry companies. And also we have going on Green ICT program, which is financed by Norway grants, and it's also focusing on green innovation and green digitalization of SMEs in Estonia. And there are welcomed cooperation projects between Estonian companies and between Norwegian companies. And also we have newly established a program which is applied research program in Enterprise Estonia, that we also support SMEs to make more applied research in their companies and more innovation. So that's the quick overview of our services in Estonia, and I'm looking and hearing all the questions you want to ask.
Many thanks. I found this differentiation at the different level of company capability is very interesting, as well as this approach that covers all the different aspects of the digitalization, as promoted by Mr. Lozano in the previous presentation. We move now to Poland. We will have the question and discussion at the end of the three presentations. The presenter is Michael Polanski, Director of the Entrepreneurship Support at the Polish Agency for Enterprise Development. Mr. Polanski, please, you can start with your presentation.
Thank you so much. I hope you can see my presentation because I had some trouble in showing it before. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay, so thank you. First of all, thank you very much for inviting me. I'm very glad to have this opportunity to share our experience in the field of supporting digitalization of Polish company. I will just start a little bit by presenting you in a few words the overview on how the situation looks like in the field of digitalization, because of course, before introducing any measures, you need to know what are the specificity of our environment in which we operate. In case of Poland, I can say there are approximately 4 stages of the maturity of companies, of SMEs in the field of digitalization. And of course, around 70% of the companies which are of around 2.5 million in Poland are beginner or intermediate. What does it mean? It does mean that all the measures we introduce should take into account this group of companies as well. And this group is of course the largest. And therefore, the measures which we introduce for these companies should also be first simple, and the second, they should be available. That means they should be in a large volumes. The large numbers should be available. That, of course, applies both to grants, which I'm going to present you later, but also to any training and advisory measures. In fact, it is not of a big sense to provide small-scale instruments to a large pool of companies. Of course, we do have a lot of companies in Poland which are, I would say, advanced and expert in IT technologies, but these numbers are fairly small. And these companies do need to have support which is far most expensive, much more advanced as well, and much more technological as well. So these companies do need to have a fairly different measures. I will share with you today two cases of 2 measures which we implement, but of course you should to remember that in Poland there are other agencies, and also our agency do have in his portfolio a larger pool of measures which are available for companies. I will just share with you a few of them. But first, we need to know on how the companies assess their capabilities in the field of digitalization. And I can cite you a number of research which was recently done. Approximately 66% of Polish SMEs feel comfortable using data tools. That does not mean they are really comfortable, but this is at least what they believe they are in line. I would say that probably the 60% of companies do have their needs, fulfilled with the tools which are available on the market, the tools which they can know on how to use. 82% of Polish companies has increased their use of the IT tools during the pandemics, and this is quite an important development because we have seen a jump in the demand for our services and our measures in the field of digitalization during the pandemics, and that can also be seen from this data. But it also were to be mentioned that the companies are also concerned in using these digital tools. They are not sure, they know that these tools exist, but they also knew there are some obstacles to overcome while using them. And this was also assessed in this report which I present you, and that in that report you can see that the main concerns of the companies are return on investment. They are not sure whether investing in IT tools are going to bring a benefit, a tangible benefit. The second fear is protecting data privacy. This is a question which is of growing importance. There are more and more attacks on cybersecurity in Poland, and the companies are more and more available also because this topic is more and more advertised on the internet and on other media. And of course, the cost of implementing the tools is of a main concern for the companies. If we look more in depth in the companies which are, I would say, advanced, this was done in the Industry 4.0 2020 report. We can see that approximately 7.2% of companies implement the solution of 4.0 industry, which this is what I said, these are these advanced companies, and that has risen since 2018 from 4.5% up to 7.2%, and the plans of implementing these solutions are also more visible. So the companies are more aware of these tools, and 25% plan to introduce these measures in the futures. I don't want to share with you all this data. I just put it on my presentation. You can see them later. What is important in Poland is the fair development of the ICT sector. The ICT sector is growing in importance, and there is a fair number of potential providers of IT solutions for the needs of companies. At the moment, 8% of the Polish GDP is generated by ICT companies, of which are approximately 60,000 companies, and these companies employ approximately 500,000 of employees, which are ICT oriented employees. This is a fair large number. Of course, not all these specialists available for the needs of SME markets. Many of these companies are operating on the overseas market, and these companies are also more present in the public sector, which is an important buyer of IT solutions in Poland. What is worth to be mentioned is that still a sale of IT equipment is the largest share in the market in Poland. That means that hardware is still of need for the companies, and this is something we often overlook, that we focus on software solutions. We focus on software purchased by the companies, but still the companies has needs in the purchase of IT equipment, both basic and more advanced. What is also worth to be mentioned is the growing importance of the e-commerce market in Poland. For the moment, approximately 72% of internet users buy using the digital stores, and what is far more important is they are using Polish digital stores. We are quite a unique place in Europe in terms that we have our own, the leaders of the market are Polish-owned companies. The biggest and the largest platform is Allegro, which is used by more than 50% of users of these type solutions. Rossmann, which is Germany-owned brand, and OLX, which is Polish brand, are used by over 10% users. The market is still very much fragmented. There are a lot of stores which are being open. We have calculated that more than 20% of stores was open only last year. So of course, these companies are struggling to find a niche they place in the market. They are still struggling to find a customers, and I believe this market is going to be more concentrated in the future. The other important factor in Poland, which concerns the IT/ICT sector, is the emerging startup ecosystem. We have approximately 3,000 startups which are here, and most of them concentrate on IT/ICT solutions. We have more than 100 VC acceleration programs which are present in them, and we see the growing interest among the VC investors in Polish IT solutions. We have seen approximately €500,000 flowing into Polish startup ecosystem. In 2020, we had 3 large market sales of the eyesight. This is the Durant. The eyesight is the provider of very sophisticated eyes the satellite imaging systems, and 2 other are providers of the operators of Price from Braille and books. The first one, it focuses on the education, and the second one on the wellness appointments. But what is also different in Poland, and this is also fairly important, is that in most of this investment, government took an important place. In fact, more than 250 transactions of 310, which we calculated last year, was co-financed by the government in that way or the other. And this is something which is of, I think, difference in Poland than in the other in the other countries. And now going back to let's say the main topic of my presentations. First, I would just give you the overview of what we're doing in the field of digitalization. It is worth to be mentioned that we are not digitally specialized agency. We do have a lot of more instruments focusing on different issues such as internalization and so on. That also allow us to create a lot of synergies. We do not look at the tools and the different scopes, but we do have a lot of instruments which focuses on digitalizations. What we aim to do is to raise awareness among SMEs, identify knowledge gaps and needs, and this is something which I'm going to focus on in the second part of my presentation. We do train companies on digital solutions. This is also one of the topics which I'm going to raise. We connect companies with providers of advisory training. So we also digitalized all internal processes and communication tools within our agency. This is also of very importance because as we do have 100,000 of customers as an agency, we also, let's say, somehow impact their digital readiness by using these tools in our daily work. We provide companies with financing for the implementation of digitalization-oriented projects. We stimulate support startup ecosystems, and we also promote IT, ICT industry, but also gaming industry, and specifically overseas. These are our objectives, and now I will focus on a couple of instruments we have implemented. The first one is a very simple and easy, but I would just to draw your attention. Sometimes the simple instruments are of big interest among companies. This is instruments called vouchers for digitalization. We have launched it last year in order to measure the COVID-19 pandemic challenges and the needs of companies which are related to the digitalization. We have received a huge number of applications, more than 6,000 applications from the companies. We have assessed the demand of approximately 2,000 applications. We have foreseen 110 million of Polish zloty for this call for proposals, but we have received the applications which exceeds 11 times the budget we have foreseen. Of course, we are going to increase this allocation, but this also shows that this, I would say, relatively simple solutions for mass market, for mass number of companies, which allow them to purchase software and software solutions, but also purchase the fixed assets such as computers, machinery, you know, and other tasks are of big need among companies. And sorry for going back. Okay, and two measures which I like to present in more focus are all designed to train and increase the capacity of the companies. The first one is called the Service Sector Competence Council. This is, I think, quite a unique system in which we implemented in Poland. We encourage the sectors to gather together to create so-called competence councils, which will assess the needs of these industries for skills and which will identify the vocational gaps. There are competence councils which focus on IT, but there are others which also focus on the needs which are related to IT in these industries. For example, we have a finance sector competence council which gathers the finance companies, the companies which operate in often in fintech, and they also can assess and they can identify these skills and gaps which are needed. And based on the recommendation of this sector competence, and based on this on this sector competence gaps, we provide companies with training and advisory service. In fact, we do not provide them directly. These services are provided by private operators, but they all need to be registered in the tool which we have created, which is called the Development Service Database. This database provides the information on companies which are providing training and advisory. In the cases when these trainings and advisory services are identified by sector councils as needed for a particular industry, they are co-financed by the government by up to 80%. In fact, this co-financing is provided by regional authorities. What we do as an agency, we assess the providers of these solutions. We provide we assess the providers of the training and advisory services, and we register them in this development service databases. The companies, while following the advice of the sectoral councils, they purchase the services, the training services, or the services related to advisory using this platform. As you can see from this figure, that project has grown to big numbers. We have approximately 400,000 users of the database for the moment. In fact, the database is not only focusing on these trainings and advisory which are co-financed by the government. Any given company can use this database to search for a provider of training or advisory service. And these which are related, there are of course a number of topics on which the companies can train its staff, but a large majority of this is related to IT and ICT skills. Again, I don't know what happens. This slide comes back quite often. What is important is that during the COVID-19 pandemics, we had asked the sectorial councils to assess particularly the needs which are related to IT and telecommunication and solutions. And all of them has issues, let's say, a special kind of recommendations which focuses on these skills which are related to IT and ICT, and that allowed us to provide a subsidy which are IT and ICT oriented. That was, let's say, a special measure which aim was to first answer to the demands of the companies, and the second to allow them to countermeasure the COVID situation. And my second case, which I like to share with you, is our e-learning platform. The e-learning platform was launched by PARP in 2019, just I would say a year before the pandemics, and we were quite lucky to launch it before that. Of course, this e-learning platform was a response to a growing demand among companies for training in various places. We have identified a number of gaps. I would just skip, let's say, with you this, let's say, the in-depth analysis, but just to show you that we would say there is a gaps in SME sector which are related both to technical knowledge. This is mostly addressed by our service database, which I have presented already. And there is also a gap in the education of entrepreneurs, of managers of SMEs. They usually have a good technical knowledge. They know the product, they service, but they don't know much about business and how to manage their companies, starting from finance, going through management issues, crisis management, but also tackling issues which are related to cybersecurity, the advertising, the promotion, the marketing, and so on. So we have launched this e-learning platform, as I have mentioned, in 2019. Right now it is in full development. We have at present 35 courses available. That of course takes time to present and to prepare a course. I don't want to go into details, but these courses are not just registered webinars. These are full online courses which are prepared according to a rigorous methodology. We use the standard of accessibility for disabled people. And as for now, we have more than 76,000. These figures are from the last weeks. For the moment, we have more than 76,000 registered users of our platforms. We have issued more than 62,000 certificates, and we have, which makes approximately 500 certificates per week, which are issued. And in this tool, we have a number of courses which focuses of IT skills. As you can see, I have put some of them which are of quite an interest among companies. We have the social media in business. This is one of our top 5 courses which are of interest of companies. E-commerce and internet marketing. This is also of interest. How to consume e-learning. So this is a little bit on how to use e-learning tools in order to increase the efficiency in the company. E-commerce and business in business advanced course. This was recently added. We already have 600 certificate issues, and the cybersecurity we have mentioned in research. The new course, new courses are going to be added soon. And the one we are looking forward very much because of the requests from many SMEs was the course on how to manage IT projects. This is one of the courses we are going to add in the next months. And as the company, as the users of the online platform can ask for a particular topic, can propose a particular topics. This one was identified as one of the priority of the companies in the field of IT and ICT skills solutions. As
we have to move on with the other presentation.
Okay, so I will just end up here. This is the last slide. Just want to say this: e-learning tools are not only efficient and highly appreciated by the companies, but they are also cheap as compared to traditional trainings. And of course, if you are interested more in the topics, I can share with you more about these projects. Thank you very much for inviting me for this seminar.
Well, many thanks to you. There are many interesting points that I hope will be picked up in the following discussion. particularly the database, I think is a very interesting example on how you can put in touch the different players dealing with digitalization. We move to the final presentation. We are going to have a presentation from Gerald Laga, head of the e-Center and SME Digital Initiative at the Austrian Economy Chamber. Please, Mr. Laga, you can start your presentation.
Yes, thank you very much. Please apology that my physical condition is quite not the best one I would present to you, but still I may bring you some information about one of our, I would say, best digitalization support programs, which is called KMU Digital, which stands in English for SME Digital. The goal of this program is to support the average SME. It's a program by the Ministry of Digital and Economic Affairs and the Federal Austrian Economic Chamber. Just a few words about the Federal Austrian Economic Chamber. We are a public organization. We are based in the Austrian Constitution, but there is a membership by law from all the commercial Austrian companies to us. We are quite a big organization. We have representatives, 100 representatives all over the world, with around 4,000 colleagues trying to support all Austrian companies. However, SME Digital is focusing on the small, not digital companies. We have 60% of our members are one-person enterprises. More than 93% of our members are micro enterprises with less than 10 employees. And this is basically the goal, to reach them, these not digital companies, and to show them what digitalization really means to them. I think it's a success story. Also, we have some experience in supporting our members in e-business. We have, for instance, started already 23 years ago with Telefit, which is the still ongoing longest roadshow in Austria, business roadshow. As you see, the name is quite ancient already, because Telefit, nobody says tele today. And in these times, we dealt with ISDN lines and how you can use this for fostering your business. 2 years later, we founded the E-Day, which is the biggest Austrian congress for e-business, but not only e-business, also e-government, IT security, etc. A whole day congress with more than 2,000 companies visiting us. We have WKOAT, the leading Austrian business portals. We have the Wi-Fi, one of the leading education providers in Austria, naturally also focusing on education in digital terms, also online and e-learning matters. And we have in our branches thousands of different initiatives. But I will focus on none of these initiatives is as broad as KMU Digital, because this really touches the individual SME by the heart, I would say. It is not so easy to get the non-digital affiliate SME to move and really to change their internal behaviors. With these initiatives we did already, these were just punctual situations where you can pick them up, but you cannot really guide them through a digitalization process. So therefore, I think finally, after more than 20 years of experience in supporting digitalization, this program is really the best one we've invented so far. We have a reliable budget. We created products and services, so they have a name, and the SME and the micro enterprises who had never any contact with the consultants, because consultants are a very important part in this supporting measure. There are really names for the products, and the consultants mustn't do what they want. They have to do it as it is somehow cornerstoned by the ministry and us. We have a neutral overview over the market of the consultants. They are certified local consultants. They are all over Austria, but there is a certification program, and they only may offer funded consultancy when they are certified. And every of the supporting measure is ending with a structured consultant report. And so we gather a lot of data, and this data gives us and also the ministry very important information to see where the Austrian micro enterprises, where they really are, where the different branches are, where the different regions are, meaning by where they are in the level of digitalization and what can help them next. So what is SME Digital? As said, it's an initiative from the Federal Austrian Ministry of Digital and Economic Affairs and us. In the meantime, we have more than 800 trained and certified consultants, and they offer consultant service in 4 topics. The topics are e-commerce and social media. It's the digitalization internally in the companies. It's IT security, and is in its digital e-government. The consultancy is mainly financed by the government, and the consultants therefore deliver structured information back to us, so we get quite important data out of it. And after the consultancy, after the companies know what they want, what is really makes sense, and they develop the plan together with the consultant, then the implementation of these plans are also partly funded. It's quite a quick and efficient online application, so you don't have to go somewhere. You just apply online. It's 2 pages to fill out and then send, and you get an answer in a week if you are funded or not. Most of the companies are funded, but if they are not SMEs, obviously they are not the target of this funding measure, so they are not then funded, but the SMEs are. In the meantime, we have around 18,000 consultants talk, or in the period from 2017 until 2020, around 18,000 consultants talk. Right now in this year, we got fresh 5 million euros. The implementation is already finished. The funding of the implementation is already finished since June. There is no funding left. Everything is reserved. The budget for consulting will be finished in October, so we could use some more money, but as a matter of fact, we have 5 million every year now, and next year we will get fresh 5 millions. Which brings me to the 4 cornerstones of this program. First one is a reliable budget. It's not that we have to, we don't know how the future is. We have a public-private partnership, or actually public-public partnership with the ministry for 3 years, and we get 5 million each year for this funding program. It's important to have products and services and to give them a name, because the target group, this very small micro enterprises, the one-person enterprises, they don't know what digitalization means for them, and they have no digital background. And they use, naturally, they use email, and probably they use social media for the private purposes. But in reality, they don't know how to make a really professional digital service. So the marketing measure is also quite important. It is mainly only direct and in an analog physical way, because the network of the certified consultants, they have the biggest interest to communicate to their surrounding that they can offer funded services now, funded consultancy now. And this works obviously quite good. So we invest €0 in communication. This goes directly with the certified consultants. There are 2 kinds of consultancy. The one is this Potenzialanalyse, which is the first very easy step. It is a half-day talk with the consultant in 3 different topics, as said already: digitalization in the companies, e-commerce, or IT security. And this is a check about the situation as it is now, in order to develop goals where they want to go. And this, to develop the goal and also the way, is a strategy consulting, which is funded 50%. So the companies get €1,000 back. Normally the price is €2,000. They get 50% back. And these services are only offered by certified consultants, as I already said. And then in the next step, the companies can apply for 30% funding of the follow-up projects. And this is quite important because the projects have already been developed with an expert, and they are somehow, I would say, refined through the expert. And because it's quite easy for the companies, they know, okay, I need a web shop, but they don't know after investing in a web shop what to do then. Okay, they have the software, but for instance, they didn't look after their logistics, or they didn't have a marketing concept. So the consultants help them to develop the whole project. Probably the web shop is not the best idea. They should go better on a platform, or they mix it. So the funding projects are already quite developed, and it's not a one-time shot and invest the money and then it doesn't really fit into the company as it is structured already. The third step is an expert map. So we have a map all over Austria where I can find consultants which can help me. There's a public database which helps the company find experts, but also naturally help the experts to show their knowledge. And so this is a quite of matchmaking experience. And the last step then is the data, especially in this quite well-booked Potenzialanalyse. It's an analysis of potential. We identified 50 digital trends. And the goal is to identify out of these 50 trends, 6 trends by the individual company and the consultant. Because the companies, they don't know what, for instance, a CRM means, what Industry 4.0, what this really means to them. And together in this personal talk, the consultants explain for you as a, I don't know, butcher, this would mean this or that, and why it is important to have a CRM, for instance, or probably it's not the best to invest in a web shop only, but you have to get your logistics first and so on. And these 50 digital trends are quite important because they help us get the data. So we know what trends are there in Austria, and this is obviously quite different if you ask the consultant to write you a PDF report, because the PDF report is not as structured as it is our method with these 50 digital trends. And with these 50 trends, we can also generate specific reports. So if, for instance, the Ministry for Tourism wants to know how the tourism industry develops in Tyrol in the last 3 years, it just takes me like an hour to find out the data together with an external expert. And this gives us, and naturally the ministry and the public sector, quite an interesting insight in the companies, how they really are and how they develop. So I hope I have not been too long. Thank you very much for your attention, and I would be happy to answer some questions.
Many thanks. There are also in this presentation many interesting points that I think we can pick up in the discussion. We have a few minutes. I just would like to make a very quick summary of the key points that have emerged from the presentation of these 3 countries that have been engaged in the digital transformation process over a number of years. First, one of the important points is the fact that all of those organizations provide different services according to the level of digitalization of the companies, and they have structurally the potential user in different levels. The second point is that all take a comprehensive approach, developing all the different components of the digitalization process, the training, the capacity building, the provision of the solution, and the financing. The other point is the relation with the consultants, which is very important, and we have heard about how this certification process is central in the support provided by the Austrian Chamber of Commerce. And then there is the issue of the budget. All the budgets are significant, and they are constant over time, actually increasing over time, and there is an increasing demand each time these budgets are implemented. And the other point that all of these organizations keep a very close check of the pulse of the companies, of the information coming from the enterprises, and how they use this to elaborate and adjust their programs. So these are my observation about all this presentation. Now we have a few minutes for questions from the participants. Anyone is interested in putting the first question to the presenters? If no question is coming, I have one question for the presenters. You mentioned that your organization has not the exclusivity over the digital transformation process. So other organizations are involved as well. How is working the coordination with this organization? Is it done by yourself directly, or there is a central body that in the government provide this kind of coordination and support the dialogue among the different organizations? Who would like to respond from this point, about this point?
Well, I can answer that first. In Estonia, we are keeping up the coordination and cooperation with other organizations by ourselves. Mostly who are providing digitalization services or grants to SMEs are implemented by our Ministry of Economic Affairs and Communications, but we manage our own coordination, and we keep our ministry also informed our activities.
Very well. What about Poland? Hello?
Okay, yes, sorry, I had a problem with my mic. We don't, for the moment, we don't have any ministry which is focused specifically on digitalization. And of course, there is a job being done on the planning of the instruments, which are usually included into long-term plans, and this is done by the ministry, which also supervise, I can't say supervise, but rather coordinates the regional program, because of course there is a lot of measures which are implemented on the regional program. So this is the first level, I would say, of the coordination, but the second level is probably more important, is the daily contacts and daily collaboration of the organization like ours with other business providers. We know each other, we know what we are doing. Before launching any new measure, we look at the I would say the market, what is being offered by other organizations. And for the moment, it works quite well. And the third level of the coordination, which I would mention, is in this field of these sectorial councils, which are gathering together the representatives of various ministry agencies, but also, and most important, the majority of the members are the representatives of the industry. So there is a coordination which is being done on this specific level of this program as well.
Thank you. And in the case of Austria?
In Austria, we invented the program, so to say. We look after the consultants. There is an online forum where they can ask questions, and I am answering them basically. If there are any questions which I cannot solve, there is called SME Digital Beirat, which is an gremium consisting of us and the ministry, together with AWS, which is a funding organization of the government. This looks after the implementation funding, and we look after the consultants, and we meet each other quite like once a month in order if there are any the further development of the program.
Thank you. We still have time for one or two questions for the participants. Anyone from the SME agencies in the Eastern Partnership country would like to comment on the presentations?
Antonio, maybe I would like to ask a question if I can. It can be answered by representatives that from OECD countries, but also from our partner countries, from EaP. And my question would be, you mentioned you develop quite a broad range of services, financial and non-financial combination. Do you follow up with SMEs that receive the support on one hand to see whether they don't need any further assistance, and on the other hand to see what is the effectiveness of the programs you deliver in order to further improve them? Thank you.
So maybe I can answer from Poland. In case of all the companies which receive financial support, they are followed afterwards. The projects are followed. They are evaluated, and we check whether the project was successful and how it worked. In case of non-financial instruments, they are also evaluated from time to time, but we don't look at any particular participant or any particular user of this non-financial instrument, because there are so many of them that won't be so effective. Like in the case of the e-learning, we have after each and every course you need to pass the exam in order to get a certificate. So this is somehow the follow-up. But then we also allow people to share with them their view and their information. So we have a lot of exchange of the information between us and the users of the platforms that allow us also to assess, the each and every course and see how they fit to the needs of companies, also to adjust if necessary, maybe to add some other points. So there is kind of dialogue. But we don't look at the companies whether they benefited from this or not. We believe that in case of this large scale and instruments which are open to everyone, that is not very much effective to follow every case.
Thank you.
I can say that the companies found that they need to fill out a form how the consultancy was going. They need the consultancy report, and every year we search for best practice cases that the companies themselves, the funded companies themselves, present what they already achieved in order to get the non-content companies who did not use this program moving, in order to get them invest into digitalization and think about how they can really profit from digitalization. One idea, recent idea, is to create a kind of digital buddy system in order to have a longer period, like half a year or a year, together with the consultant. It's not so easy to manage this system, seen from a financial point of view, that this is, you're not wasting tax money, because how do you prove that this is really necessary? How do you prove that the relation to the consultant is not a private relation and all these things? But we're thinking of it, of expanding the program in this direction.
Very well. Any further comment or question?
Yeah, in Estonia, we have moved to customer-centric design in our services. It's popular in Estonian public sector now to design all the services by the customer needs. So we making every time asking feedback from our customers who've been in our services, and also making cooperation with other public sectors to improve the journey of the customer in digitalization road, so we can provide them the whole package of these services and grants, not the one services what are not linked to each other. So yeah.
Many thanks. I think the time for the discussion has been exhausted. I hand over. I ask now Daniel to come up with the final conclusion for today's workshop.
Thank you very much, Antonio. Thank you everyone for staying with us until now. I think It's been a very interesting discussion. Thank you so much to our experts, to our speakers for the different presentations and for the very practical discussion and insights, in particular from Estonia, from Poland, from Austria, which I all found very very inspiring. This event today concludes our series of technical webinars on the topic of digital transformation, but certainly not yet the project. So I would just like to highlight the next steps very briefly. First of all, we've been working on a report that summarizes a little bit the discussions that we had over the past couple of months, which also looks more detail into what the current situation is across the Eastern Partner region, providing further insights into good practices from OECD countries, and sketching out some recommendations on the way forward to tackle the issue of digital transformation of SMEs. So we're finalizing the report right now. We've shared it with all countries for comments and feedback. So I would invite all our main counterparts in the national administrations to look at it very closely and help us make sure it's accurate and reflecting the current situation in your respective countries. And then we will be launching this report on the 30th of November at the high-level event with participation of ministers, deputy ministers from across the region, and make this work publicly available to conclude so to say the data collection and the discussions of this year. In addition, we have two high-level events which should be interesting as they are on the same topic. One will be on the 16th November, the peer review of Georgia on the issue of SME development and digitalization. And the second on the 23rd of November, the peer review of Azerbaijan. We've been working with both countries very, very closely over the past year, doing an in-depth assessment of the situation on those topics, and will be we have prepared two draft reports which we will put out for discussion on those days. So I hope that you'll all join for this peer review, which is an opportunity to look specifically at two country case studies, but of course also to reflect on other countries' experiences. Next year we'll continue our work. Of course, we will actually start a new round of the Small Business Act for Europe assessment, where we will look again into how the SME policy situation has developed over the past years. Of course, also reflecting on the impact of the COVID crisis on the SME sector. The last round was concluded in 2020. So there's going to be a lot that we will want to cover, and obviously we will have a strong component on SME digitalization as part of this next phase of the assessment process. So still a lot to do, but I would like to thank you all for staying with us for this round of seminars. Thanks again to Poland, to Romania, to the European Union for the financial support. Many thanks to our experts, to all my colleagues around the house, and last but not least, to our interpreters and the entire support team working today in the back office for making this event possible. So thanks, and hope to see you soon to continue this discussion.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you all.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. See you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye.